A somewhat bizarre protest movement has erupted in India. Spearheaded by a viral cockroach-themed satirical party, it's become one of the biggest displays of frustration at Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his government in years, and is the latest iteration of the Gen Z-led protests that swept through the region. Sparked by offensive comments by the Chief Justice, fueled by dysfunction in the examination system, and galvanized by a heavy police response on Monday, the Cockroach Movement, or CJP, is posing a major challenge to Modi and his BJP. So in this video, we're going to explain the cockroach protests and just how much of a threat they pose to Modi. Which flag is better, the Seychelles or Marshall Islands? What about Scotland or South Korea? Trinidad or East Timor? How about a battle of the stars, the EU or USA? Cast your vote in our official flag ranking survey by clicking the link in the description. So let's start by explaining what this cockroach movement actually is, why it's called that, and where it came from. During a hearing in May, the Chief Justice of the Indian Supreme Court likened young unemployed Indians to cockroaches who drift towards social media and activism. This naturally went down poorly with young people, and it prompted a 30-year-old US-based Indian, Dipke, to post online, "What if all the cockroaches came together?" He subsequently created a website and social media pages for the Cockroach Janta Party, or CJP, a satirical movement that plays on the name of the ruling Bharatiya Janta Party, or BJP. With its tagline, "A political party for the people the system forgot to count," and a cockroach mascot, the CJP's Instagram account exploded, surpassing 20 million followers within 2 weeks, more than double the follower count of the BJP's official page. Now, while it was the Chief Justice's comments that sparked this mass movement, the CJP has focused its fire on someone else, Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, due to a series of exam-related scandals. For context, the National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, or NEET, is a nationwide entrance exam for undergraduate medical courses, taken by millions of Indians each year, competing for less than 150,000 places. The Indian examination system is pretty dysfunctional, which only adds to the stress of these high-stakes exams. For instance, some 2 million people took the NEET in May this year, but it was later scrapped after it was found out that question papers had been leaked, and tragically there were reports of more than a dozen suicides related to the events. Leaks like these, cancellations, reschedulings, and alleged marking irregularities have fueled youth frustration at the system, so they want Education Minister Pradhan to resign, as well as broader reforms to the exam system. The viral online cockroach movement soon spilled out onto the streets, with physical protests beginning in early June in New Delhi, with Dipke, the founder of the CJP, returning to India to organize and take part. These early protests were attended by hundreds, but have since swelled to thousands and tens of thousands as the movement has gained traction. One factor that fueled its growth is the involvement of the well-known activist and educator Sonam Wangchuk, who began a hunger strike in support of the movement on the 28th of June. He was forcibly taken to hospital by police on the 18th of July, a move that only escalated tensions further. The biggest demonstration so far took place on the 20th of July, this past Monday, coinciding with the first day of the new session of the Indian Parliament. Protesters sought to march from their indefinite protest site to the Indian Parliament buildings. Tens of thousands of people gathered, mostly but not exclusively young people, but police had refused them permission to march on Parliament and had erected barriers across roads and blocked the internet. As protesters marched in defiance, the police responded with kettling, batons, and tear gas. It was one of the largest demonstrations against the government of Narendra Modi in recent years. The movement has exposed a deep undercurrent of youth dissatisfaction with the system as a whole, and can be seen as the latest iteration of the Gen Z protests that swept through countries across the world, but particularly in South and Southeast Asia over the past few years, something we reviewed at length in the latest issue of our magazine, Too Long. While the organisers have said that they won't march on Parliament again in order to avoid police violence, they have vowed to continue protesting, and its leader, Dipke, has now demanded Modi's resignation. Through Tuesday and Wednesday, more than 1,000 protesters remained camped out in the protest site in central Delhi. While the grassroots movement was formed and has grown outside of India's party political structure, the main opposition, Congress Party, has come out in support of the movement. Its leader, Rahul Gandhi, alongside other opposition politicians, held their own protest outside Prime Minister Modi's residence, demanding that Modi and his education minister resign, and accusing Modi of destroying the future of India's youth. Gandhi was even detained by police during the protest this week, but has since been released. So, how has the government responded? In the wake of the protests, Modi and Education Minister Pradhan attempted to address their concerns, saying that the government was committed to fixing the problems with the exam system, but giving no signal that Pradhan would leave his role. Pradhan also criticised opposition politicians like Gandhi for their involvement, which he described as a political spectacle. At the time of writing, there have been some moves towards talks between the CJP's leaders and the government, represented by Health Minister JP Nadda, although the CJP's leader Dipke said that the government must come to them, not the other way round. So, just how serious a threat is all of this to Modi? Well, it's the most significant display of public dissent against Modi for years and presents him with a major challenge. Most worrying for him is that, much like the successful Gen Z protests elsewhere in the region, the protest movement started with a focus on a single issue, but is morphing into a more general anti-government movement, fueled by broader economic and social frustration, and the perception that the political class responds to their concerns with indifference or worse, contempt. Now, we're not saying that Modi will go the same way as Bangladesh or Nepal's ousted leaders, but we shouldn't downplay the significance of this moment. While Modi has faced significant protest movements during his premiership, for example, the 2019 Citizenship Amendment Act protests or the 2020-21 farmers' protests, Indian journalist Surbhi Gupta argues that these were largely rooted in the grievances of specific constituencies. What makes the cockroach protest movement notable is that it seemingly cuts across different groups, as education, seen as the primary route to economic and social mobility, is an issue that affects all communities. This, and the fact that the government must deal with a grassroots, pretty decentralized movement, rather than an established political organization and party, presents an unusually difficult challenge for a man who's dominated Indian politics for more than a decade. So far, the CJP has not signaled a desire to move into real party politics, with the suited-up cockroach remaining an extra parliamentary campaigner. But for now, much depends on whether the CJP can maintain its viral momentum and keep translating its online success into street protests. Greenland. For decades, it's been viewed as little more than a giant ice sheet on the edge of the world. A massive ice fortress that most of us only ever saw from 30,000 feet on a flight to somewhere else. However, that ice is receding, and as it does, the world's superpowers are beginning to move in. At TLDR, we've spent almost 10 years explaining things from behind a desk, but some stories are too big for our studio. So to understand why this island, and the Arctic more generally, has suddenly become the most valuable real estate on Earth, we had to go there. As you'll soon discover though, this isn't just a political briefing hosted from the cold. We're hiking through the wild, discovering melting icebergs, and uncovering the rusting remnants of secret military projects abandoned in the snow.
I used to think I understood what cold was, but I was lying to myself.
Over 3 episodes, we're asking, what's the big deal with Greenland? From the scramble for rare earth minerals, to the new battlefield for Washington, Beijing, and Moscow. We're camping out in the glaciers that are changing our climate and discovering the country caught in the middle of this global tug of war.
This is funny to you, Jet.
It will be funny to you in the future.
Hello.
Hello, deep there.
Jesus Christ. That's the whale.
Right wheel.
Rather appropriately for the world's largest island, this is the biggest project we've ever taken on. A documentary about the beauty, power, and future of our planet. Coming this summer exclusively to TLDR Party members. If you're not a TLDR Party member already, you can sign up right now. Members not only get access to 2 long documentaries like this one, but they also get access to the audio versions of every article in our magazine, Too Long, each narrated by the writers of those articles, allowing you to listen along to it all. You also get access to our behind-the-scenes podcast, The Bullpen, access to our extra podcasts, The Last Move and The Last Word, our brand new news quiz, plus our brand new UK politics podcast, Andemonium. Becoming a member costs £3.99 a month, but for the very best deal, you should grab the Too Long and TLDR Party bundle. That way you get both our quarterly magazine Too Long, as well as access to all of the benefits of TLDR Party, for a very discounted rate. Plus, if you use code Greenland, we'll give you an extra £4 off your first bundle payment, making it basically the same price as a standalone subscription. Find out more and support the channel at toolong.news/party.